$1,600.
So after you paid for the car,
The producers, after my day of auditioning, said, well, we'd like to show you some more girls tomorrow. And Bill said, no, I want Sabrina. He says, you could bring me every other person here in the world. He says, I want Sabrina.
Tell how hard you're trying by the money that you make, how much of it goes back into your career. So those people, because this is a new age.
Sabrina Le Beauf's stunning transformation from beloved TV daughter to independent artist has shocked everyone.
I wasn't ready to hit Hollywood and pursue a career there, especially not being blonde and blue-eyed in Hollywood. So I decided to get some serious training, and I applied for the Yale School of Drama, and I got in.
When Bill Cosby handpicked her to play the role of Sondra Huxtable, her acting career should have skyrocketed. Instead, she chose to challenge everything the industry expected from a successful black actress.
Tell how hard you're trying by the money that you make, how much of it goes back into your career. So those people, because this is a new age.
Today, at 66, Sabrina's transformation from television star to independent artist has left many wondering, why did she choose struggle over stardom? Let's get into it. Before Sabrina Le Beauf became a household name as Sondra Huxtable, she was a young black actress navigating a UCLA theater program that had no place for someone who looked like her. Born in New Orleans in 1958 and raised in Los Angeles, Sabrina discovered early that the entertainment industry had very specific ideas about where black performers belonged, and those places were limited. At UCLA in the late 1970s, the theater department was overwhelmingly white.
UCLA, I did a lot of directing. And doing a lot of directing, I realized I couldn't be a director.
Sabrina found herself among only 13 African American and other minority actors who were essentially forced to create their own parallel theater program. While their white classmates performed the classics and contemporary works on the main stage, Sabrina and her fellow minority students had to produce their own shows, fighting for recognition and resources. This early experience of exclusion could have broken her spirit, but instead, it forged something stronger. The understanding that she would have to create her own opportunities rather than wait for them to be offered. The co-founding of that Black Students Theater group at UCLA wasn't just about putting on plays. It was about refusing to accept the limitations that others tried to impose. When it came time to graduate, Sabrina faced a harsh reality. Looking at her white classmates like Heather Locklear and Heather Thomas, she knew that traditional Hollywood paths weren't available to her. The industry's beauty standards and casting practices made it clear that blonde, blue-eyed actresses had opportunities that she would never be offered. Years later, reflecting on this pivotal moment in her education, Sabrina would explain the mindset that drove her to seek serious training rather than immediately pursuing commercial success.
I wasn't ready to hit Hollywood and pursue a career there, especially not being blonde and blue-eyed in Hollywood. So I decided to get some serious training, and I applied for the Yale School of Drama, and I got in.
The decision to apply to Yale School of Drama wasn't just about getting better training. It was about legitimizing herself in a field that constantly questioned whether black actors belonged in serious dramatic roles. When she received her acceptance letter, beating out thousands of applicants, including future stars, it represented more than personal achievement. It was proof that talent could transcend the industry's prejudices, even when those prejudices ran deep. At Yale, under the direction of Lloyd Richards, Sabrina found something she had never experienced before: a colorblind casting environment where she could play any role based purely on ability. For 3 years, she performed everything from Shakespeare to contemporary drama, building the confidence that would later allow her to face down Hollywood executives and demanding casting directors. The mass auditions that followed graduation were unlike anything today's actors experience. Representatives from top agencies would compete for the privilege of representing Yale graduates, recognizing that their training carried weight in the industry. Sabrina found herself in the enviable position of choosing between multiple representation offers, knowing that her Yale credentials opened doors that might otherwise remain closed. But even with elite training and prestigious representation, Sabrina understood that her path would be different from her white classmates. The industry still saw black actors as limited to certain types of roles, and breaking those stereotypes would require not just talent, but strategic thinking and unwavering determination. When she moved to New York City after graduation, Sabrina began the slow work of building relationships with casting directors, taking small roles in soaps and music videos, and proving that she could handle whatever they threw at her. She was methodically positioning herself for the opportunity that would change everything. An opportunity that would come in the form of a family sitcom that would redefine American television. In 1984, when casting directors called Sabrina Le Beauf to audition for a new Bill Cosby sitcom, she almost didn't get the part for reasons that had nothing to do with her acting ability. At 26 years old, industry executives felt she was too old to play a college-aged daughter. She was only 10 years younger than Felicia Rashad, who was being cast as her mother.
Right, I had auditioned for the original 4 children, or it was 4, and they didn't know if they were going to be boys or girls or what ages they were going to be, and it turned out that I was too old at that point.
The age concern wasn't just about believability. It reflected Hollywood's obsession with youth and their discomfort with black actresses who didn't fit into narrow categories. Sabrina wasn't the ingenue they typically cast for daughter roles, but she also wasn't old enough for mother parts. She existed in an uncomfortable middle ground that the industry didn't know how to handle. But Sabrina wasn't the only accomplished performer vying for the role of Sondra Huxtable. In one of entertainment history's most interesting casting battles, she found herself competing directly with Whitney Houston, who was on the verge of becoming one of the biggest pop stars in the world. The competition represented 2 different paths for black female entertainers: the crossover music star versus the serious, trained actress. Whitney Houston's audition for The Cosby Show has become legendary, but what's less known is why she ultimately walked away from the role.
And so we gather in this room, the kids from New York and from LA, and they're all signing their contracts. And this girl we brought back from New York said to me, "I can't sign this contract." And I said, "Why?" She said, "Well, I want to be a singer."
Houston's team recognized that signing a long-term television contract would interfere with her music career ambitions. She wasn't willing to commit to 8 years of television when the recording industry was offering her opportunities to become a global superstar. When Houston declined the role, the path cleared for Sabrina, but not without final resistance from network executives who remained concerned about the age issue. That's when Bill Cosby intervened with a kind of decisive authority that few television stars possessed. Years later, when Sabrina recounted how she ultimately landed the role, her story revealed the power that Cosby wielded over every aspect of the show's production.
The producers, after my day of auditioning, said, "Well, we'd like to show you some more girls tomorrow." And Bill said, "No, I want Sabrina." He says, "You could bring me every other person here in the world." He says, "I want Sabrina."
Cosby's declaration shut down all further discussion about age, experience, or any other concerns the network might have had. His word was final, and Sabrina found herself cast in what would become one of television's most influential roles. But the casting process revealed deeper truths about how the industry viewed black performers. The fact that Sabrina's age was considered problematic, while her white contemporaries regularly played characters decades younger, exposed the double standards that black actresses faced. The industry demanded that black women fit into even more restrictive boxes than their white counterparts. The competition with Whitney Houston also highlighted the limited pathways available to talented black women. Both Sabrina and Whitney possessed extraordinary abilities, but the industry seemed to suggest that there was only room for one of them to succeed at the highest level. The either-or mentality that forced Houston to choose between music and acting reflected broader limitations on how black female talent could be utilized. Sabrina's victory in landing the Sondra role wasn't just a personal triumph. It was a breakthrough for Black actresses who didn't fit traditional television casting molds. She proved that serious dramatic training could translate to commercial television success, and that audiences would accept Black performers in roles that weren't specifically written as stereotypes.
My very first experience there, I remember, which was a Thanksgiving show. Immediately there was a problem with what we were having for dinner, and we were trying to teach Theo how to carve the Thanksgiving turkey.
The irony, of course, was that landing the role of Sondra Huxtable would eventually become both the greatest opportunity and the biggest limitation of Sabrina's career. The same breakthrough that proved her talent would later become the box that the industry tried to keep her in, leading to frustrations that would ultimately drive her away from television entirely. The Cosby Show premiered in September 1984 and became an immediate cultural phenomenon. For Sabrina Le Beauf, playing Sondra Huxtable meant joining television history, but it also meant navigating the complex responsibilities that came with representing Black excellence on America's most-watched sitcom. The show's success was unprecedented. At its peak, The Cosby Show commanded audiences of over 50 million viewers, making every cast member instantly recognizable across America.
You have been good at saving.
Yeah.
Denise, the only reason you have that money is because we haven't let you spend it.
But this visibility came with pressures that extended far beyond typical television work. Sabrina and her castmates weren't just playing characters. They were representing an entire community's aspirations and possibilities. Behind the scenes, Bill Cosby maintained strict control over every aspect of the show's content. He employed consultants specifically to eliminate any dialogue, actions, or imagery that could be interpreted as reinforcing negative stereotypes about Black families. From artwork on the walls to the names chosen for Sabrina's on-screen twins, Winnie and Nelson, honoring Nelson and Winnie Mandela, every detail carried political and cultural weight. The responsibility was enormous. When Sabrina's character gave birth to twins in 1988, 50 million Americans tuned in, making it one of the most watched television episodes in history. The naming scene, where Bill Cosby's character revealed the babies' names as a tribute to the Mandelas, was broadcast at a time when mentioning those names on American television was considered politically radical. But for all the show's cultural importance and commercial success, Sabrina began to feel increasingly constrained by the limitations of television work. As a Yale-trained actress with extensive theatrical experience, she found herself underutilized in ways that frustrated her artistic ambitions. By 1989, Sabrina's dissatisfaction had reached a breaking point. The conflict escalated when Sabrina began missing tapings to pursue theater work. During the 1988 to 1989 season, she appeared in only 5 of 25 episodes, leading to threats from producers to withhold her pay. She argued that she shouldn't be required to sit around the set when her character wasn't scheduled to appear, but producers demanded her presence as part of her contract obligations.
Still taking classes. I'm taking more classes now. Most people would go, stop it already. I'm studying at the Strasberg Institute in New York.
The battle revealed fundamental differences in how Sabrina and the network viewed her role. To NBC and the show's producers, she was a television actress whose primary obligation was to be available whenever needed. To Sabrina, she was a serious dramatic performer who happened to be working in television, and that television work shouldn't prevent her from pursuing other artistic opportunities. The conflict also exposed the limitations that successful Black performers faced in the 1980s. While white actors could easily move between television and film, or television and theater, without their commitment being questioned, Sabrina found herself criticized for wanting to expand beyond her television role.
And sometimes I sit back and I wonder if all of my training is my excuse for saying that I have talent.
Male cast members of successful shows often used their television fame as a launching pad for movie careers. But female cast members, particularly black female cast members, were expected to be grateful for their television success and not reach for additional opportunities. The tension between artistic fulfillment and commercial success that Sabrina experienced would become a defining theme of her career. She had achieved everything that most actors dream of: steady work, financial security, and national recognition, but felt trapped in a role that didn't challenge her abilities or reflect her training. This internal conflict would ultimately lead Sabrina to make choices that surprised the industry and disappointed network executives who expected her to remain grateful for the opportunities television had provided. When The Cosby Show ended its historic run in 1992, Sabrina Le Beauf faced the career challenge that haunts every successful television performer. How do you move beyond an iconic role that defines you in the public mind? For most actors, the answer involves trying to land similar roles or capitalizing on their fame for commercial opportunities. Sabrina chose a completely different path. Instead of immediately pursuing other television or film work, Sabrina made a decision that shocked her agents and industry colleagues. She enrolled in UCLA's Professional Interior Design program. While other actors were fighting for auditions and chasing their next big break, Sabrina was studying color theory, spatial relationships, and architectural principles. The choice seemed inexplicable to an industry that viewed career momentum as everything. Sabrina was walking away from her prime earning years, her peak visibility, and her best opportunity to leverage her Cosby Show fame into other lucrative projects. But for Sabrina, the decision represented freedom from an industry that had consistently tried to limit her possibilities. Her theatrical work continued, but on her own terms. She became a frequent leading lady with the Shakespeare Theater Company in Washington, D.C., performing roles like Catherine in The Taming of the Shrew, Rosalind in Love's Labor's Lost, and Rosalind in As You Like It. These weren't commercial projects that would make her wealthy, but they provided the artistic fulfillment that television had denied her.
Congratulations on being here and part of the celebration of your show.
Thank you very much.
The pinnacle of her theatrical career came in 2006 when she traveled to England as part of the Complete Works Festival at the Royal Shakespeare Company. Performing Shakespeare at the RSC represented the highest honor possible for a classical actor, yet it received a fraction of the attention that her television work had garnered. Meanwhile, Sabrina's personal life underwent its own transformation. In 1987, during the height of The Cosby Show's success, she had married businessman Michael Reynolds in a whirlwind romance that saw them wed within a month of meeting. The marriage lasted over a decade before ending in divorce in 1997, coinciding with her career transition period. By the early 2000s, Sabrina had established herself as a successful interior designer while maintaining her acting career on a smaller scale. She made occasional television appearances, including a reunion with Bill Cosby on his later sitcom Cosby, and voice work on the animated series Fatherhood. But these projects were secondary to her design business.
However, the boy with her...
A boy?
Yes, ma'am. And the boy was under 21.
The transformation was complete by the time she decided to leave the high-pressure environments of Los Angeles and New York for Asheville, North Carolina. The move represented a final rejection of industry expectations and a commitment to prioritizing quality of life over career advancement. When asked about her new perspective and what had driven her to step away from the traditional entertainment industry grind, Sabrina's response revealed how completely she had redefined success.
And my focus is not that anymore.
The simplicity of that statement spoke volumes about what Sabrina had been missing during her years in Hollywood. She had exchanged the stress, competition, and artificial relationships of the entertainment industry for genuine human connections and personal contentment. Her career trajectory baffled industry insiders who couldn't understand why someone would voluntarily step away from fame and financial opportunity. But Sabrina's choices reflected a deeper wisdom about the costs of success in entertainment and the importance of maintaining artistic integrity. The interior design career wasn't just a backup plan. It was evidence of Sabrina's broader creative abilities and her refusal to be defined solely by her acting work. She had successfully reinvented herself professionally while remaining connected to the theater work that truly fulfilled her. By choosing substance over celebrity, artistic challenge over commercial success, and personal happiness over industry approval, Sabrina had achieved something rare in Hollywood. She had escaped the system while maintaining her dignity and creative integrity. Nearly 4 decades after first stepping onto a professional stage, Sabrina Le Beauf's transformation from television star to independent artist represents one of entertainment's most thoughtful career evolutions. Her journey from Sondra Huxtable to successful interior designer and respected classical actress reveals truths about success, fulfillment, and the courage required to define your own path. The financial implications of Sabrina's choices have been significant. While her Cosby Show co-stars have struggled with the economic realities of post-television life, Jeffrey Owens famously worked at Trader Joe's to make ends meet. Sabrina created multiple income streams that provided stability without requiring her to compromise her artistic values. Her interior design business allowed her to utilize her visual arts training while providing the financial independence that many actors never achieve. Unlike performers who remain dependent on casting directors and producers for their livelihood, Sabrina built a career where her success depended on her own skills and client relationships. The theatrical work, while not financially lucrative, provided the artistic satisfaction that had been missing during her television years. Performing Shakespeare at the highest levels proved that her Yale training hadn't been wasted, even if the commercial entertainment industry had failed to fully utilize her abilities. Her relocation to North Carolina represented the final stage of her transformation. By moving away from the entertainment industry's geographic centers, Sabrina removed herself from the constant pressure to pursue projects for the sake of maintaining visibility. She could choose work based on artistic merit rather than career strategy. The contrast between Sabrina's post-Cosby Show trajectory and that of her former cast members is striking. While some struggled with typecasting or financial instability, Sabrina built a life that balanced creative fulfillment with economic security. Her willingness to step away from the traditional entertainment industry pathway ultimately provided her with more stability than those who remained within the system. When reflecting on the current state of the entertainment industry and her decision to prioritize personal contentment over career advancement, Sabrina's perspective reveals the wisdom gained from decades of experience.
You can tell how hard you're trying by the money that you make, how much of it goes back into your career. So those people, because this is a new age.
Her observation about actors needing to constantly reinvest their earnings back into their careers to remain competitive speaks to the exhausting nature of modern entertainment industry life. Social media presence, personal branding, and constant self-promotion have become requirements that drain both financial resources and creative energy. Sabrina's rejection of this model, her admission that she's not really trying by current industry standards, isn't a confession of failure, but a declaration of different priorities. She chose to keep her earnings rather than constantly reinvesting them in the pursuit of greater fame. The Bill Cosby scandal that eventually tainted The Cosby Show's legacy vindicated Sabrina's decision to create distance between herself and her television past. While other cast members were forced to navigate the complicated feelings surrounding their association with Cosby, Sabrina's established independence meant the scandal didn't threaten her primary income or identity. Her transformation also speaks to broader issues facing Black performers in entertainment. The industry's tendency to typecast and limit opportunities for Black actors means that stepping away from traditional pathways often requires even greater courage. Sabrina proved that Black performers could create successful careers outside the narrow boxes that Hollywood typically provides. The stunning nature of Sabrina's transformation isn't in any dramatic physical change or shocking revelation. It's in her quiet demonstration that success can be defined on personal rather than public terms. She showed that it's possible to walk away from fame while maintaining dignity, to prioritize art over commerce, and to choose contentment over constant striving. At 66, Sabrina Le Beauf represents something increasingly rare in entertainment, an artist who successfully escaped the industry's gravitational pull while maintaining her creative integrity. Her journey from television star to independent designer and classical actress proves that the most stunning transformations often happen when someone has the courage to choose authenticity over approval. Her story challenges every assumption about success, fame, and the entertainment industry's definition of achievement. In a world that measures worth by visibility and wealth, Sabrina chose fulfillment and freedom, and in doing so, created a life more authentic than any character she ever played. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.